Hello everyone, and welcome to Signals of Hope Cairo. My name is Niki Teron, and I'm in charge of international projects at Frankfurt Book Fair. To choose your language, please click on the globe icon below on your screen. The program Signals of Hope Cairo is organized by Frankfurt Book Fair and the Goethe Institute, jointly with Arab Voices and the Egyptian Publishers Association, and is supported by the German Federal Foreign Office. Our goal with this program is to offer a platform to German and Egyptian experts to foster dialogue between both industries and to tackle issues and topics that are relevant for publishing professionals. The session today on new business model is very exciting because we have two very innovative company founders on board today, and we are very happy to have you here. The session will be recorded and the videos will be available on the Frankfurt Book Fair playlist very soon. I wish you a very good session. Bye-bye.
مساء الخير الناشرين والناشرات والمهتمين بصناعة النشر. بنرحب بيكم في المحطة الأخيرة من سلسلة ندوات القاهرة الأمل يبدأ. وزي ما نيكي قالت احنا النهاردة عندنا ندوة خاصة ومهمة عن نماذج بعنوان نماذج أعمال جديدة. في البداية بحب بس أنوه لحتة تنظيمية. لو حابين تغيروا أو تختاروا اللغة لأنه في ترجمة، فياريت تحت هتلاقوا في علامة الكرة الأرضية، بتدوسوا عليها بتلاقوا اللغة الإنجليزية أو اللغة العربية، فياريت تختاروا واحدة منها عشان يسهل الفهم والتواصل. لو في أي أسئلة ياريت تحطوها في الشات. حاليا احنا بنسجل الندوة ديت بس يعني للعلم بالشيء، واحنا في عندنا عروض تقديمية هتقدم من المحاضرتين اللي هيتكلموا معانا، فلو حضراتكم مهتمين بهذه العروض ياريت تتواصلوا مع الزميلة نيكي من معرض فرانكفورت، وهي هتسيب الإيميل بتاعها أيضا في الشات. في النهاية أنا طبعا بتوجه بكل الشكر للزميلة نيكي ومعرض فرانكفورت للكتاب اللي أتاحوا لنا الفرصة إن احنا نقدم حاجة للناشرين، برنامج خاص في فترة الجائحة في الفترة الصعبة دي. أيضا بشكر اتحاد الناشرين المصريين وأصوات عربية، وأنا عبير من المركز الثقافي بحييكم جدا وبتمنى لنا ندوة ممتعة. وبدي الميكروفون لعلي. اتفضل يا علي.
مرحبا بكم في الجلسة الخامسة والأخيرة من برنامج القاهرة الأمل يبدأ بعنوان نماذج أعمال جديدة New Business Models. بدأ البرنامج في مارس 2021 ويسعدنا أن نختتمه مع اثنين من مؤسسي الشركات المبتكرين. برنامج القاهرة الأمل يبدأ هو مبادرة لدعم صناعة النشر في مصر أطلقها معهد جوتا بالقاهرة بالتعاون مع اتحاد الناشرين المصريين ومعرض فرانكفورت للكتاب ومشروع أصوات عربية بدعم من وزارة الخارجية الألمانية، وذلك بهدف تشارك المعرفة وتبادل الأفكار ومد الجذور الثقافية بين ألمانيا ومصر. معكم علي عبد المنعم، ناشر واستشاري ورئيس لجنة التطوير المهني باتحاد الناشرين المصريين. متاح أمام حضراتكم على الشاشة علامة Q&A اللي هي الأسئلة والأجوبة question and answer، وهي الخاصة بالأسئلة في أي وقت خلال الجلسة تقدروا تسألوا المتحدثين، ويمكنكم كتابة السؤال بالطريقة المناسبة لكم باللغة العربية أو باللغة الإنجليزية. كما نحيطكم علما بأنه يوجد قناة خاصة باللغة الإنجليزية وأخرى باللغة العربية طوال مدة الجلسة. كما نذكر حضراتكم بأنه يمكنكم مشاهدة الجلسات السابقة على قناة اليوتيوب الخاصة بمعرض فرانكفورت، والتي ستقوم زميلتنا نيكي تيرون بمشاركة الرابط عبر الشات، كما ستشارككم بعض الروابط الأخرى الخاصة بمعرض فرانكفورت والمواقع الإلكترونية الخاصة بالمشاركين. ضيوف جلسة اليوم من مصر الأستاذة شيرين راشد، مؤسسة iRead في الشرق الأوسط والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة Evolution Creative Studio في الإمارات العربية المتحدة. شيرين كاتبة مصرية شغوفة تحب القراءة، تخرجت من كلية الاقتصاد والعلوم السياسية، وعملت لاحقا في وزارة التعاون الدولي، وعملت ككاتبة وضيفة في العديد من المشروعات، كما عملت على الترويج لنشر الأدب العربي في العديد من المشاريع. ومعنا من ألمانيا الأستاذة نيكولا ريختر، مؤسسة دار نشر مايكروتكست كناشر رقمي، مقره في برلين منذ 8 سنوات، والذي يقدم روايات ونصوص جديدة. وسوف نقوم بالتعريف أكثر عن نيكولا قبل إلقائها لكلمتها. هنبدأ بالأستاذة شيرين. شيرين اتفضلي.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ali, for the introduction. I'm Sherine Rashed, iRead founder from Egypt, and thank you for hosting me today. And I'll start with my presentation about iRead. Okay, I'll start with the iRead beginnings. It's all started with me saying I read everywhere. During any conversation, I mentioned, oh, I must have read it somewhere. I started to share all the quotes I highlighted while I was reading, and the people started to fall in love with them and debate at each phrase. They started to ask me from which book. We want to get that book and read it. Then I started to promote the books through the quotes and the writers. Publishers started calling me to promote their books on my platform. My platform became a hub mixed between book lovers and publishers. It became a cultural hub for the whole reading community. iRead then steps as an Egyptian, an Arab, and Middle Eastern initiative that aims for penetrating the human mind, creating and reserving a space for reading that competes with social media over the human intellect. iRead works to expand on the market and highlight the importance of reading in societies as a major factor for them to be able to cross over and reach the anticipated world of 2030 and beyond. All of this is launched through strategies that are founded upon psychological and sociological studies that concluded the feasibility of destroying the outdated taboo and stereotypes that frame reading as a pathetic and desperate habit and readers as introverts. It started with a show. I called it Getting Lost, or a photo session. I called it Getting Lost. Speaking of psychology, while I was watching my husband getting lost in a book all the time, I thought it would be great if it takes a photo session with a book, since he's an ideal and the role model for many readers. I took it from there, featuring and interviewing celebrities, highlighting the concept of being mentally attractive. When you read a book, you're mentally attractive to others, especially if you're an idol. It's not just beauty of the face or beauty of superstar that makes you attractive. I got the beauty and the brains to meet at the iRead show. I featured celebrities, reader of the month, while they're reading books and getting lost in the books, like Marwan and like Hind Sabri and like Karim Abdelaziz and Esther Yassin, and many of the celebrities that are role models and mentally attractive to youth. iRead show, it's like an online episodes hosted by me, featuring the prominent figures, the intellectuals and the influencers, highlight how reading changed their life and how they developed through reading. Like all the celebrities in the photos you see, like directors and like TV hosts, like comedians, and like actors. My love for the written words never stops at this stage, at only for readers. No, I want to mix reading with writing. Since iRead is a hub for readers and writers, we created iRead Awards. And we have 2 published books with 40 writers. iRead publications غموض في مصر القديمة and ليالي الكورونا. It's a bestseller collection of short stories written by rising authors, published by Dar al-Shuruq in partnership with Dar al-Shuruq. We show their amazing works that were submitted during iRead competition. More than 6,000 copies were available on the online stores and on the bestseller shelves. iRead Awards first edition, it was in partnership with the Cairo International Film Festival. The first edition of iRead Awards discovered and celebrated the amateur writing talents through the short stories and adapted screenplay. The jury panel was very, very strong jury panel. At the screenplay, we have Mr. Ala El-Karkouti, Zafir Abdin, and Saba Mubarak, and Mr. Ahmed Murad, Mr. Tamer Mohsen, the director. And on the short story competition, we have Mr. Yasser Shaker, the CEO of Orange, and Mrs. Hala Hagazi, CEO of Energy, and Dr. Hassan Kamal, Dr. Hisham Azmi, the General Secretary of the Council of Culture, and we have Dr. Sherine Abu Naga. It's a very big collection of very, very important jury that added value to the book that was published. This is the photos of the iRead Awards with the celebrities and the writers and the jury panels, the 6 writers that took the first places. Also, we didn't stop here. We didn't stop with the show and the awards. We kicked off with a reading song by Masar Ikbari to promote the reading, because everyone loves to sing a song and to listen to songs. We kicked with a song by Masar Ikbari to encourage people at different ages to listen to everything. During the COVID, we initiated the iRead online book show. It's a bi-monthly live interviews on iRead Facebook pages, promoting famous authors and writers, hosted by Dana Abu Laban, MBC host. Each episode opens a fruitful discussion with authors and gives their favorite fans a chance to have all their questions answered. It's an e-meeting between readers and writers. The episodes are hosted by our Ambassador of Honor, Dana Abu Laban. At this iRead Talks hosts, we have Ashraf Halali, we have Muhammad Sadiq, and Ahmed Murad, Mr. Muhammad Asawi, Yusuf Zidane, Dr. Hani Abu Naga, Rasha Samir, Maya Ali, and Hebal Sawah, and much, much more in season 2. We have Dr. Asam Yusuf and Ashraf Al-Ashmawi, Dr. Muhammad Taha, Mr. Ibrahim Isa, Mr. Yusuf Zidane, Amr Abdel Hamid, Noor Abdel Majid, Mr. Amr Salama. And then we came to the most interesting part, the iRead Hub. We developed the website for iRead ambassadors and for writers who want to write a lot of things and to promote their writings at our website. It's a bilingual digital hub that offers the community engaging web and app on based content. We have the book reviews and summaries, authors and writer profiles, cultural newsletter, exclusive videos, compelling articles, and a podcast, all in one hub. We deliver photos, we deliver books to their house steps, to their home. And this is one of the iRead ambassadors, Salma Sultan. And we have a lot of iRead ambassadors. They write at iRead Hub now. They're students and writers and who's interested to write. At the outbreak of the pandemic, iRead presented two main contests that challenged the lockdown in Egypt. We had a photography contest that featured the corona, the COVID-19 and the lockdown, and featured everything that happened in Egypt. We launched a photography contest to feature this era, or to document this era, these photos. Also, we had a collective book called The Corona Nights. The Corona Nights, Bardo, it's stories about what's happened in this era of the Corona. Also, we have bookshelves at our partner premises to promote reading at the lockdown. We have other initiative. It's called Those Who Read Never Get Bored. Campaign about everyone who reads can never get bored at the lockdown. This is a photo of the photography contest. And finally, my advice to you is just read. Read because the human nature is universal, the pain is universal, success is universal, and human development is universal. Read to explore yourself, to educate and develop yourself. Read to have this intimate relationship with a book, not your phone. iRead. Thank you so much.
شكرا شيرين على البرزنتيشن الجميلة ديت. وبفكر حضراتكم ان ممكن برضو لو في اسئلة او اي حاجة ممكن على الايقونة الخاصة عليها Q&A او في الشات. وهنتقدم دلوقتي now we will move to نيكولا ريختر. هي مؤسسة دار نشر مايكروتكست كناشر رقمي ومقره برلين منذ 8 سنوات، والذي يقدم روايات ونصوص جديدة. تعمل مايكروتكست من خلال التمويل الجماعي، وتقوم بعمل تجارب مع مجموعة من المؤلفين وتنظيم مجتمع الأصدقاء الخاص بهم. يتم نشر جميع الكتب رقميا أولا باللغة الألمانية، وبعض من الكتب يتم نشرها باللغة الإنجليزية. كما حصلت دار النشر على جائزة النشر الألمانية، ومن أسماء الكتاب العرب المدرجة في قائمة إصداراتهم رشا عباس، خادم خنجر، عبود سعيد، عساف العساف، محمد علاء الدين. وفي عامي 2019 و2020 درست نيكولا ريختر الأدب الألماني والأدب الإنجليزي والأدب المقارن في توبنجن ونورويتش في المملكة المتحدة وبرلين. كما عملت محررة ومديرة لمشروع لمجلات الويب قبل أن تبدأ مؤسسة النشر المستقلة الخاصة بها. وهي أيضا عضوة في بين جيرماني، وعضوة لجنة التحكيم في جائزة كورت توخلسكوي الأدبية بصفتها كاتبة. نشرت عدة مجلدات شعرية وروائية وقصص قصيرة، كما قامت بإعداد العديد من المجموعات الأدبية. Welcome, Nikola. The mic with you.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you today, and thank you for the invitation. I'm really intrigued by the previous presentation. I just love the idea of mental beauty. I think otherwise I would not have started my own publishing house, because I also think reading is very beautiful. What I will do today is, because we have this overall topic of new business models, I will explain to you how and why I founded a publishing house that publishes digital first, which are ebooks that are available everywhere in the world, basically, and how I proceeded from there. I started my publishing house in 2013, and here you see a little personal history of mine. This is a book I created at home when I was about 6 years old. I don't know if you can read it, but in the left top corner it says Nikola Richter Zuhause Verlag, which means my name, and then at home publishing house. It is about an airplane, as you can see, das Flugzeug. I don't know what the story is about, I forgot it, but what you can see that publishing from home was kind of always my dream. I really always wanted to publish books, and with the rise of the internet, when I finished my studies, I had all the tools at my hand to do it, because I just needed a computer to start a publishing house. I just needed a desktop. I started publishing from a desktop, from a computer. I built the whole infrastructure for my publishing house digitally. So I create the titles online, I distribute them online. Of course, when I started printing books, which I also do, they have to be stored somewhere, but all the press work, all the marketing, all the social media, everything is digital. So what I want to show you in 3 different aspects what innovation means for me and how I implemented in my publishing house mikrotext. So the first one is questioning. Questioning means, you know, what am I doing and what I am doing this for? And is everything that I'm doing running into the right direction? I think it's really important to question what you are doing and also to stop things that are not working. In publishing, we are really free. We can always change the direction, and this is something I really like. The second point is networking collaboration. We saw it also in Sherine's presentation. She works with prominent people. I really work a lot with networks of readers, networks of people who are interested in the same sort of literature than I am. And this sort of collaboration makes you stronger and makes you more visible and also gets new ideas to you. If you are working alone like me, it's a one woman business, I need to collaborate and I need to be networking. Then the next one is experimenting with technology, and this is something you can really do from the desktop also. There are so many different apps and web platforms and programs out there, meanwhile, where you can try to, you know, save time in automated processes. I will give you examples of that later too. So the first example I'm giving to you is very recent. It's from 2020. You know, it's the Corona year, but for me, it was the year of the open publishing house. 1 year before, in 2019, I started a call, and I was calling out for other publishers. I was looking for publishers to join me with their projects and to publish their ideas, their books and titles in mikrotext publishing house. So with this call, I wanted to reach out to new audiences, and I wanted to question also the topics I had in mind, and I wanted to see, you know, what kind of books other audiences would like to publish. So I wanted to know not only what I would like to read, but what others would like to read. So what happened, I got about 30, 40 books that were like book ideas that were sent to me digitally, and I had to choose the best, most promising ones in a few weeks' time, prepare a program, and then in 2020, I still was the kind of publishing house founder and the publishing house chef, boss, but there were like my colleague publishers that created their own teams for their respective book projects. What happened was that this call for new publishers was a great communications tool, because other people started to say, oh, this is a great idea, look at this publishing house, look what she's doing, she's opening up. I didn't really have a mind that this could also be a marketing campaign, but it really reached out to new audiences and new readers just because I was doing something that nobody did. What also happened was that I used, with all publications, I used the same hashtag, which is a German hashtag, Jahr des offenen Verlags, Year of the Open Publishing House. And now if you go to Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and you put this hashtag, you will find like a little storyline, a chronicle of things that happened during that year. What was also interesting in this one project, that I had to use new management tools. You know, everybody's talking about agile management or non-hierarchical management, cloud management, whatever. And I had to do it because for every project, every book, there was a new team. Everybody used different ways of communication, they had different strengths, and I had to support them in different ways. So this was very interesting for me, because in every team, I had to define a new role for myself. So I learned a lot of things about myself and about like leading a publishing house just by working with others. So in the last, actually very important point is that this way of doing books means that you can finance the titles via the crowds, via the communities that are behind the new people you're working with. And this is what I did. I will give you one example from last year to be a bit more concise. So we would need the next slide. This is also leaning in already a networking collaboration. You see here these three lovely ladies. They are very big on Instagram, on German Instagram. They are called Wir müssten mal reden, which means we need to talk. They have a channel on Instagram where they work for anti-racist, anti-discriminative awareness. And the guest publisher, Laura Hoffmann, she really likes this account, and she said, let's do a book with these three women from Instagram, which is a really new thing to do, because on Instagram you have pictures, you have slides, but it's not really so much text. So we need to find out how can we do a book with three Instagrammers who actually act as a collective. They have a big crowd behind them. So what happened was, when we started our crowdfunding process just for the book, we collected these 12,000 euros in only 2 days, because the crowd behind this Instagram community is so powerful. And you can see that once you collaborate with somebody who also collaborates, you really can gain in strength, also in financial strength, because suddenly you have people who really support your cause. I am doing this with my publishing house already since the beginnings. Actually, I have a subscription system where you can subscribe to all digital titles, and this costs you only like €2.50 per month, and then you will get all the digital titles via email as a download link. And this microfinancing is really something I find really important for new publishing houses that act, you know, not as in a big best-selling modus, but in a, you know, finding out the new voices, promoting new writing, you know, where we are working in a little niche, but we can also be very successful if we do it the right way. So this was my point about networking and collaboration. There's another little illustration of the tool I'm using. It's called Steady. It's a German crowdfunding tool for microfinancing. You can also start a subscription system for blogging or for newsletters there. So I'm using it as a publishing house, and you can see the different models, you know, for €2.50 or for €5, €10, etc. What I also started last year, I'm only giving you the newest examples because I'm currently changing my infrastructure, and these are the most successful things I have used and done last year. is I started doing digital events like everybody. Because of Corona restrictions, it was not possible to meet in person, and it was really hard for writers, also for publishers, because we could not see each other, we could not sell the books directly. So I started a series of events, which I call a remote literary show, where I present the new titles in a digital show. And this is not just an online screening, it is really a show where we have a musician or a DJ, where we do live editings. We give like a little transparent window into the publishing work we are doing. And yeah, and we meet the writers. This screenshot shows you a writer from Romania and a moderator from Austria, and me sitting in Berlin at home. So we have already 3 countries presented in the first row of images. And the most interesting thing is that I sell tickets for these shows. You cannot just attend them. The tickets start at a very low rate, but they also increase. I have a solidarity ticket, which costs like 50 euros, and you wouldn't believe it or not, I don't know, but people book it. So I have some people who really buy tickets for 50 euros or more. So then it's not such a big deal. I can also give tickets away for free if somebody really doesn't have any money. So in the end, with this show, for example, I made a plus of 1,000 euros without any funding from public. From the public. Oh, no, actually the Goethe Institute in Romania was also buying some tickets. So yeah, there was a little funding, but I could really pay good fees to all participants. It's not money I'm earning as a publisher, it is money I pay to all the participants so they have a little income. Yeah, and this show will not be recorded. It is just a one-time event online. Yeah, so we are nearly getting to the end of my 3 wisdoms. Experimenting with technology. This is just like a quick run through of infrastructure tools I have implemented. This is really a very, I don't know, very known one. Just host your own shop, and then you can sell directly to the customers, to the readers, and I'm earning like almost 40 or 50% more in each sale when I sell directly. So this is something which really helps me to raise more money with the selling of books and ebooks. And I use WooCommerce, which is it's a tool that's available worldwide. I also have a podcast which is hosted on SoundCloud. This is something I meet all writers I publish at least once in person, often more times. And I realize it's such a shame. We always have really nice conversations in our offices. And it's such a shame that we don't really put these conversations online, or that I don't record them. And then at one point I started to record these conversations, and it's short, like talks on writers, on topics they're writing about, on their books. And I don't know if you can see it here, yeah, but you can see it, for example, the Ruth Herzberg, the second one, you can see it was published 1 month ago, I think, and already like nearly like 150 people have listened to it. And that's quite a good number, you know, it's for an independent publishing house, it's a good number. Yeah, I also try to increase the style of Instagram to have quotes. I'm also working a lot like Sherine with quotes of books and also with pictures of writers. So I want to make these universes of each book more feasible, more reachable by using quotes about the books, like press quotes, but also using really strong quotes from the books. And this is really easy to do with Canva, which is a free tool everybody can use. Yeah, so I'm at the end of my little run through all the different tools I'm using and my approach to publishing. I think you can always survive by being open, you know, open the windows and yeah, have a look on mikrotext.de. We also have published some books by Arabic writers. One title is also available in English by an Egyptian writer, Muhammad Aladdin. Yeah, so thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to the discussion now.
Thank you very much, Nikola, for this great presentation. And now, just a reminder, now we will move to our panel discussion. بس بنفكر حضراتكم ان في اوبشن علامه الكيو اند اي الايقونه الخاصه بالاسئله والاجوبه، تقدروا تحطوا الاسئله بتاعتكم بالعربي او بالانجليزي، مفيش مشكله خالص. Now we will open our open panel discussion and you have questions for Nikola and Sherine about the biggest challenges you were faced when you're starting your unique project. What's this challenges and how did you overcome these challenges? Can we start with Nikola?
Okay, and thanks for the question. I think the biggest question for me, or the challenge, is that I am a one-person business and I use all the communications tools that are available, all the chat functions, or like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook chat, whatever. So I'm really reachable. The writers can really reach me on the channels they like, press can reach me on the channels they like. So I need to find a way where I can also be non-reachable, which I do. I know I can just switch off my phone and I don't look at anything, but this is the most challenging thing actually. When you start communicating in so many directions, you need to have a break also.
Thank you, Nikola. What about you, Sherine?
Hi, Nikola. I love your presentation. It was very inspiring, and your first book is very cute. The challenges, actually, there's a lot of challenges. Number one was that I studied all the previous projects and why they failed to let people love reading. So we studied all this, and so that even if we lower the prices, people also don't read. So I kept studying on the psychological and the sociological levels. What should we do to make people just love to read? And other challenge was the human ego, or the human needs to show that he makes something, and reading is always in secret. I don't show people that I always read. So people want to post every time that they are doing something, they're reading something, they're making something. That's why there's brands all over the world. So we challenge this by making the photo sessions, by making the word iRead, so people can be proud not to be readers. We challenge that to make it a habit. And we challenge to make reading a habit, not just for studying. And the third challenge was it's tsunami wave, social media. It's like tsunami wave. We're facing this wave, and we're trying to face the social media, the TikTok, everything that has colors and more intimate with people, and especially my daughter's age and the new generation. So we're challenging while making reading more colorful, in storytelling more intimate or related to them. Number 4, our challenge was the identity. The loss of identity to read. The new generation is only reading in English or French or other languages, not in Arabic. So I challenged this by letting them read in any languages. For example, my daughter, she started only to read in English while she was small and young. And now when she make it a habit, she started looking for the Arabic stories and her identity stories. So there is a lot of challenges we're facing, but through studies and through these 2 years, we're trying to fix many of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherine. The next question for Nikola. As you a digital publisher, what are your criteria for select the content that will be published, and are all your publication issued in digital format only, or do you are print some titles on demand?
Okay, thank you. I will answer the second question first, because I started off as a digital-only publishing house. Because one of the books, it was actually an Arabic writer, Abu Said, a Syrian writer. He was really successful with his ebook in Germany. It was the first book he actually published. He just wrote on Facebook in Arabic, and we published him as an Arabic writer just as an ebook. It was really weird. So he could be invited to Germany. He was invited to do many readings. There was a lot of media. And then I printed, actually for his birthday, I printed a small edition, I think 100 copies just for the readings, and it was sold out after one evening. Then I printed 250 copies, and they were sold out again after the next event, basically. And then I printed 1,000, and for this I could not really do it at events anymore. It was too much, so I needed to have a proper distribution. So already with the second publication in my publishing house, I started with print books. Yes, so since 2013. I also print books. But how do I choose the content? This is actually a very simple thing for me to answer, because I just choose what I like. And because I'm a one-person business, I am the margin basically. So this is why last year I opened up my publishing house to find out how other people would publish. People who know my publishing house, what kind of ideas would they bring in? And this was actually open up the horizon of my publishing house a lot. Now I'm actually back to normal. I'm deciding again what is going to come out this year, and it's a lot more peaceful. It's a very easy way to do it, just to discuss me and the writers, and not the teams of other publishers. But yeah, usually I choose texts to be a bit more precise, that are subjective, that are telling us something new about the world, that are episodic in a way, that use new aesthetics to tell stories, and often texts that come directly from writing on the internet. So many books and ebooks I have published start with having been written online, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I published tweets, I published Facebook posts. The latest novel I did, actually, it's called How to Be Unhappy with a Man, How to Be Unhappy with a Guy. It is really a successful book, actually. It's funny, as the title says, but it's also very sad, because it's about a toxic relationship between a woman and a man. And this was written on a blog. This was all blog texts, and then the writer took them down and was editing them again, and now we have a novel. So this is how I choose the books. The books I do, I always have a strong link to the internet.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikola, for this more clarification and more description. I think it was clear enough. And now we have a question for our post speakers. What is your secret for a successful PR, public relation? We can start with Sherine, then Nikola.
Okay, it's not a secret. I think it's very simple. I think it's being authentic, being yourself, plus study everything around you, study everything. That's, I think, the secret recipe of any successful thing.
Thank you, Sherine. What about you, Nikola?
Yeah,
PR, the secret of PR?
I would agree, but I also would add that it is about continuity. Many things I do, they are not visible, because I have been in good connections with journalists or writers or people in institutions for a long time now. Before I started my publishing house, I have been working for like 15 years in cultural things, like organizing events, working for big theater festivals. I don't know, I did so many different things. So I have really, and I think I did my job well. So I stayed in contact with many people. And I think PR is a lot about continuities. You have a good relation to people, and it's not always visible. So with my publishing house, I can really see that in comparison with other small enterprises around me. It is not always about, you know, getting retweeted for like 2,000 times or so. I don't have these sort of successes yet. I think we can get there at some point, but it's so much stuff which is not visible, and then there's a lot of network behind you which is not which is helping you to develop your ideas.
Thank you, Nikola. We have another question for Nikola. I think it's a great question. How and why people participate in crowdfunding? Is there a way to convince them?
Yes, thank you. I think this is the really most important question for crowdfunding. You should never start a crowdfunding when you don't know how to convince the people, because you will not convince them. So all the crowdfundings I did actually a lot. I think I did now 7 or 8 or more, sometimes for books, sometimes even for money, just to get a writer who is coming to Germany money so that he can get something to eat, or, you know, we found things to where we just needed something, and we just need to tell a story why we need that money and why the crowdfunders what is their profit when they give some money. Usually it is easier when the people or the book you want to crowdfund already, when they bring a community already. You know, like the community I showed you, the Instagram community. I think they have 20,000 followers, which is a lot for Germany. I don't know about Arabic world. I think this is usually bigger, but they do regular crowdfundings in their Instagram channel for people who lost their job, people who lost their apartment, or who are in some sort of problem. And then they say, you know, this person XY, they need your support. You can spend money for a month and then we give it to that person. So that community was already used to give money for good causes. And with the crowdfunding, of course, you always get the product. You get, with publishing, you get the book. So we need to have a list of people's addresses. It's a lot of administration. You know, crowdfunding seems so easy, but afterwards you have a list of 500 addresses you need to send the books to. You know, some people have moved in the meantime. It's all the administration you do for free. You will not always get the money. You get the money for the production of the product. You get the money maybe to get to some fees for the writers, but the publisher will have to do all the administration for free. And you can convince them basically, but finding ways how they could like this book or whatever project you want to finance. And also, as Sherine said before, with PR, you need to research other successful crowdfundings in the similar branch. So when you know there is another book that has been crowdfunded successfully, look at what they did and look at what they did in a good way, and then just copy it actually and do it in your own words and in your own vision.
Thank you, Nikola. We have a question for Sherine. Please, can you say something about the positive effects of iRead you have already noticed in the community growing?
Yeah, I noticed a very positive trend that people actually love to develop and love to see others, their ideals in positive look. I think now that music turned to iTunes and Remy, and the movies turned to Netflix and HBO, and everything is on screen or on digital. The positive effect that everything is turning digitalized now, like the books, it have it have to be digitalized sooner or later. So I think that's very positive to see everything on screens, and people can read more because the cost will be lower when they start to read the ebooks, and for publishers it will be very, very less cost.
Thank you, Sherine.
You're welcome.
We have some or a lot of questions for Nikola and for both. And the second one for Nikola, how about bookseller? How do you convince them to support as a small company? Especially in the market Germany, it's difficult for them.
Yeah, that's very true. We have, I think, 3,000 publishing houses in Germany and 70,000 new titles every year, and 6,000 bookshops, I think. So we are in a really dense and competitive market when we wanted to talk about the market. So I do it that way that I try to do direct sales mostly. So with my web shop and also with press and good communication, I want to convince the readers to go to the bookshop and buy the book there. The system we are having in Germany is very professional in a way that you can, when you have a distribution and a warehouse where the books are stored, every bookshop in Germany can order that book and it can be there the next day. We have overnight delivery, and I don't mean Amazon. So I try to convince my readers to go to the independent bookshops, order the book, and then buy it there and get it the next day. It's actually the same than Amazon, just you don't use Amazon because Amazon will not be quicker. This is something we really need to say all the time, that the system of delivery in Germany, the independent system, is much better, or at least the same than Amazon. So don't use Amazon because they pay really low margin. Yeah, so this is what I do. And then in Berlin, because I'm living in Berlin and my readership is mostly an urban readership, I try to have independent partners in bookshops in every district. So there are bookshops that have the titles available already, and it's not all the bookshops, but it's selected nice bookshops where people know they will find the titles. And when I do a journey, which I didn't do a lot, last year, Corona, etc. This year also Corona, we will see. But when I travel somewhere, usually I try to meet with some independent bookshop and try to convince them to be our partners.
Thank you, Nikola. I think it's a great effort to market and sell your catalog. We have another question for both speakers. We will start with Sherine. How do you manage to make your companies and projects more visible and promote them on the right channels?
Okay. I think it's very easy now due to the many platforms of the social media and the internet and everything. It makes everything feasible, or makes everything we can promote everything through it. But I think the most good promotion is the word of mouth. When people try and send their work and found their work in a very collective book signed by greatest writers in the Middle East, I think that's the best award, or the best word of mouth that will let people to trust you and to gain your trust. Also at the delivery of the books and the user experience of the app. I think people start to use it and then tell other people it's very easy, a user experience and a user interface to deliver books to your doorstep, and it's we give them sometimes we give them surprises while they deliver the books. And when somebody is ill or something, we send them video from their favorite author and we send them a gift. These small things, I think, make the community to to be solid. Okay.
Thank you, Sherine.
Very well.
We have another question, Sherine, for you. You have two ways to work. The first was to encourage your target segment to read through a promotional campaign. And the second was to sell books on your online platform. Can you tell us more about the marketing strategies for both ways?
Yeah, sure. The first way, I think I mentioned about the platforms, and the other one, for marketing, we use special deals with publishers to lower the cost of the books, so it will be easier to get it to the users or to anyone who wants to read. And we have a delivery charge also very low, so you can sit at your home and order the book, and not to go to the mall and park your car and make all of these procedures to get a book. No, you can just click and get the book so easily. I think this helped a lot people to read. You're welcome.
Thank you, Sherine. About we have complete the question, another part of the question about your business model. What's the main source of revenue for iRead?
Okay, the main source of revenue is the collaborations, I think, our partnerships with projects like Orange Egypt. When we have the awards, there is a lot of partners who used to have funds to fund the book, like Dar al-Shuruq. It comes from collaborations and from our main sponsors. And of course, now added to selling the books at our platform as a hub for the publishers. That's the main three things.
Thank you, Sherine. Do you sell tickets in the show or something like that?
No, we don't sell tickets, and we give also the winners a monetary award through Bardo, one of our partners, through Virgin Megastores, through Nugum FM, through everyone who participated in the awards. But we don't sell the tickets. Actually, people are invited to the events.
Thank you, Sherine.
You're welcome.
We have another question for Nikola. It's about statistics. Are there any statistics on who visits the site, gender, age? What do you think? What do they buy? What do they buy? How much the average spending time on the website?
Okay. Of course, there are statistics. I'm using WordPress, so it's a blogging software, and you can, implement a shop system there. So there is a lot of statistics. I can give you statistics of everything. I don't have them in my mind. I think most people spend about 2 minutes on the site, which is quite good because it's a shop, and I have usually every day somebody is buying something on the site, so you can do your maths by yourself. How much I will earn every month, but I can also tell you. I think it's in between. I started the shop last year, and it's between 500 and sometimes even 1,000 euros per month, which I earn just in my own shop, and it's quite a lot of money to do that, because I have to also pack the packages and all that, and I also have revenue in the bookshops, which is much more actually. So I have statistics. I don't think they are all that interesting. Of course, I know that my readership is actually male and female. People who I can see those things from Facebook more than on WordPress. I don't think WordPress tells me the gender of people, but Facebook, for example, does. Instagram does, and So my readership is mostly in Germany, also in the German countries like Austria and Switzerland. But I can tell you that I just did a little kind of check before I came in here, and one Syrian writer I'm working with, she's called it's Rashed Abbas. It's quite a renowned young writer. She's now living in Berlin, published in Italy with iMutawasit, and she also publishes with mikrotext. And I had sales of her ebooks from Mexico basically last year. So, you know, once you have not only the book, but also the digital book, you can have buyers and readers in all the countries, you know, of the world. And this is, I think it's fascinating. I do that at the end of the year. I see, you know, all the revenue from Brazil and Japan and Mexico that comes in. And that is a really nice thing to see, even if it's not always like millions, but you can see that the publishing house is not just a local thing. The literature is global and the readers are global, because the narratives and the style and also the languages are, you know, not just local.
Thank you, Nikola. We have another question, Nikola, about the question. I noticed some titles for Arab refugees. Do you have any criteria, or it's difficult to publish for Arab refugees about the perspective, political perspective or political criteria?
I work with a translator. She's called Sandra Hetzel, and I think this is also part of my publishing credo. I work with translators, and they are then, you know, they know what I like to read. They know the style. So the Arab writers I have published, they are always also, they come through the translator, because she likes the same kind of literature than I do. It is not about the refugee status of anybody. I don't publish a writer because he or she is a refugee. This is absolutely not interesting for me. I publish them because I like their writing. And you know, the writers I published were Rashed Abbas. She writes also about, she of course writes about migration and about war and memories, but it is not necessarily the refugee status which makes up her writing persona. As well as, for example, I published an Iraqi poet, is Kazem Kanjar, and I published him because I think he's so unique in writing about death and performing arts, performing poetry and places where people have died. And I think when you want to read contemporary war, anti-war, anti-violence poetry, you should really read Kazem Kanjar, because he's writing about all the friends who have died because of war. And it's really sad and very intense poetry. But for me, it was really the best I read. And I am totally anti-war. I'm a pacifist. And so, of course, I wanted to have anti-war poetry. And because we luckily don't have a war in Europe, but we have wars around us, you know, it's quite close. All these violence is not so far away. And this is why I published Iraqi poetry. But it's really, you have to discuss it from case to case. I cannot say I publish refugees, because this is totally the wrong. That would be not so interesting and not so nice. And I think people should not be reduced to anything, you know, which the fate has put upon them. It's not their own choice to flee a country. Yeah.
Thank you, Nikola. We have a question for both great speakers about the future. What's your plan to develop your project in the future? We can start with Sherine.
Okay, I'll tell you first a quote that I believe in, from Abraham Lincoln. He say, "My policy is to have no policy." So whatever pops out in front of you, catch it and grab any opportunity and just make it, because everything is running so fast and so quick, and the world is changing, got so rapid pace. Yani. Even I can't cope with my my youngest child, because she knows things that I didn't know. Everything pops out. I have to grab this opportunity and go and develop something and listen to the people from the youngest age to the bigger age. Keep your mind, learn from them, be a student all the time. So I think that we're making every year the awards for writers from 17 years till 70 or 80 years. I think that's our future plan, to expose many writers to the cultural arena. And I think we have to later on to let them to be translated, and so other people can know about it. Also, I'd like to add that digitalized, our platform has to have to promote the digital books now. This is our future plan, that everyone can read the books so easily and with cheaper price, and we can deliver the books so easily to the doorsteps, and many things to come.
Thank you, Sherine. What about your future plan, Nikola?
Actually, when I was listening to Sherine, I thought, well, actually, we would need iRead Germany. Maybe we should do that. We have many readers, and we have many stars. And I think reading could be promoted a lot in Germany in other ways than the official institutions do that. And I really think it would work in Germany. So maybe we should talk about that later. But regarding mikrotext, well, I would see it as this ongoing process. You know, publishing is a very strange business. You know, people say, you know, when you want to burn money, start a publishing house. I try not to burn any money, but it is not so. It's not an easy market. So I think my goal is to you know, have good books available, always find enough readers so that it's sustainable, and collaborate and be open, and also find those readers that are open. And I think they are out there. It's more like a positive mindset. And I think also that actually, if I can hope something, I would hope that in the German publishing sphere, the digital book would be pushed more, because the pricing of digital books in Germany is very high. This is a policy by big players on the market to avoid digital publishing and to not push it because the revenue system is not so strong, they think, but I think that's totally bullshit. And I think we would need a better policy for digital reading, because the kids and the teenagers and everybody, you know, has these gadgets, and where is it? And if we can make them read on those gadgets longer texts, and if we make it beautiful and interesting, then we will not lose them, I think. But that's another hope I have. And Asaf Al-Asaf, another writer I'm working with, he's always said to me, Nikola, I am one of your ebook soldiers. And I think that's not true. He's a writer and columnist and really funny guy, but I would like to have the German book industry be, you know, more positive towards the possibilities of digital publishing. Yeah.
Thank you, Nikola. We have another question for you, Nikola, about did you also work with the sponsors and actors like Sherine, or do you want to stay completely independent?
Yeah. I have not worked with sponsors like Sherine, also not with actors. As I said, I think it is a really interesting approach, and we don't really have something like this in Germany. Here it is all very segregated. We have the national TV and radio stations, and of course you will find prominent people talking about books, but this is all in a very much regulated landscape of, you know, national TV, for example. The traditional literary landscape would not really be open to work with prominent people. yeah, so I think, and I have been working with institutions like foundations. Sometimes you can apply for money for a certain project. Or I also apply for lots of state fundings, like translation funds, or mostly translation funds, because we don't really have any other official funding in Germany that you can apply for as a publisher. As a publisher in Germany, you are not regarded as an independent cultural player, like an actor or something. So you cannot apply so easily for state money. You are always regarded as an enterprise, even if you're very small, and even if you can really make clear that the work you're doing is working for cultural diversity in Germany, still then you are regarded as enterprise, and there's no state money for enterprises, because that would be, it would destroy the competition of the market. Yeah, so I am still quite independent, and it's a good thing, because you can just do whatever you want, and you can stop things and start things, and you don't need to be, always, you don't have to tell everybody what you're doing. It's quite a it doesn't really cost me so much effort. But yeah, as I said, this iRead idea for Germany, I think it would probably work. Yeah, we need to talk about this.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikola. Another question for pause. What was the most important thing you have learned during the pandemic? We can start with Sherine.
Okay, I think I learned a lot on the personal level. I learned to communicate more with my kids, and I learned to read with them more, and to see what genres they love and what stories, and became more connected. But on the iRead, I think we learned that everything is digitalized now. Everything is running, even our Zoom meeting now. It's because of the COVID. Everything can be connected more easily, and everything can be on demand very easily. And it's not like the FOBO, the fear of going out after it. No, but people still do both. They go out, but many things became more easier due to the COVID now.
Thank you, Sherine.
You're welcome.
What about you, Nikola?
Yeah, for the publishing side, I would totally support what Sherine said, that the digitalization has, in Germany especially, has sped up a lot. Home office and Zoom meetings, all these things were not so much in common before Corona, and now it is, everybody knows how to do it, even kids know how to do it. On a personal level, I think for me it was so visible that we need the nature and we need fresh air and we need healthy surroundings for everybody, not just for a few people who are rich. That because of all the restrictions, people just could go out on the streets, and you can stay healthy when you go out, but it's more healthy when you have good air and green trees. And so I think the climate question really came forward for me, and related to that, then health. I mean, health is a good which we really should honor. When we are healthy, we are happy. And so the COVID and all the diseases around us, they made us not so happy. And I think that was also very important to see that, not to sell more and to build more buildings and to sell more cars, and all this was important, but the most important thing was the health. And let's start making policies from there, but I don't know if our leaders are taking note of what I was saying right now. I hope they do.
Thank you. Now, time it fly. We have the last question in 5 minutes for post speakers. What advice would you give to a young man or woman dreaming of founding his or her own publishing house today? What's your advice for them, for young publishers? You can start with Sherine.
Okay, my advice is just make it. Whatever you dream of, it can be easily, if you believe you can make it, you can make it. Like Nikola, she made her first book and she made her first publishing house by her own. And like me, I just started with a small idea of just people getting lost in their books. And then everything will come gradually and everything will come, but people need to have a new publishers, new books, and it's always like food and water. We need the books, so it's a good decision to make it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherine. Nikola, what's your advice?
I think you should be sure of what sort of literature or books you would like to publish. Just publish anything. I don't know if that's leading somewhere. So, be aware of, do you know writers? Are you in contact? And also, as the next step, don't be afraid to say no, because this phase will be very soon. Once you have started a publishing house, you will have to say no quite to many people, and you cannot be always publishing everything. And and this is something you really need to learn. I think that is something which is also hard, because I have many friends or writers I know, and I just cannot publish them. So I can just give them advices, where to go and what to do. But you just need to stay on your own line of literary taste.
Thank you نيكولا. يعني دلوقتي احنا يعني اوشكنا على انتهاء الجلسة. هنعمل زي رابنج، ملخص سريع للجلسة. في البداية بنشكر نيكولا وبنشكر شيرين على وقتهم وعلى البرزنتيشنز وعلى الأسئلة. الملخص بتاعنا هنا النهاردة أنه وفقا للتقارير الصادرة عن المجلس المصري للشؤون الخارجية، أن ليس أمام مصر خيار سوى مواصلة التحول الرقمي ودعم التجارة الإلكترونية. ومع المؤشرات القوية اللي احنا بنشوفها دلوقتي في ارتفاع عدد المتسوقين على الإنترنت بشكل مستمر، ده بيمثل فرص عظيمة جدا يجب علينا ان احنا نستثمرها بشكل جيد كناشرين. وهنتذكر دايما ان من اهم المتطلبات العصر الرقمي في العصر الحالي اللي احنا داخلين عليه، اللي احنا اوريدي بقينا في العصر الرقمي اللي هو بيسموه ديجيتال ايرا، ان هي السرعه والمرونه. يعني ان انت تبقى مور سبيد اند مور فليكسيبل في مواجهه اي تحديات وتغيرات الاسواق اللي بتحصل بشكل كبير في الايام اللي احنا فيها. كان زمان الاستراتيجيات بتقول ان الشركات الكبيره بتاكل الشركات الصغيره، ليه؟ يعني بيج فيش ايتس سمول فيش. الاستراتيجيات دي اتغيرت وبقت السمكه السريعه بتاكل السمكه البطيئه حتى لو كانت كبيره، اللي هي فاست فيش ايتس سلو فيش. شفنا في اخر 10 سنين في مصر في المنطقه العربيه شركات ودور نشر صغيره أصبحت بتنافس وأخذت جزء كبير من الحصة السوقية للشركات الكبيرة اللي بقى لها 70 و80 سنة. ليه؟ لأن هم اتحركوا بسرعة واتحركوا بمرونة. الجوانب الرئيسية للعمليات دي بشكل كامل، يعني عشان ندخل العصر الرقمي وإحنا كناشرين لازم يبقى عندنا ميتا داتا سليمة لكل قائمة الأعمال بتاعتنا، يعني بيانات كاملة عن الكتاب والمؤلف. البيانات الكاملة هنا مش بس سنة الإصدار، مش بس اسم مؤلف، مش بس التصنيف، لا ده بيبقى فيه تصنيف رئيسي وفي تصنيف فرعي وفي مقاس الكتاب، في عدد الصفحات، في كمان وزن الكتاب، في أبعاده، في نوع التجليد سوفت ولا هارد، وزن الكتاب، في كمان التسعير الجيد، في ان انت خلاص انت دلوقتي تقدر بالواتساب بس حتى لو ما فيش امكانيات كبيره ان انت تبيع من خلال بلاتفورم، تقدر تبيع من خلال الواتساب تشانل. لابد من ان يكون كل دوت مربوط في دايره تسويق. من غير ما هنعرف التسويق بتاعنا بشكل كويس. التسويق هنا ان انت تعرف العميل بتاعك. كل ما انت كدار نشر قدرت تعرف وتحدد العملاء بتوعك، كل ما كنت قادر على ان انت تبيع وتستمر وتوصل بشكل اكتر. ودوت بيبقى ليه استراتيجيات كده، يعني تحليل الشخصيات او تحليل العملاء بيبقى اسمه بيرسونا. انت بتبقى عارف الكاستمرز بتاعتك السيجمنت بتاعتها ايه، وهي محتاجه ايه، سواء كانت محتاجه كتب اكاديمي في مجال معين، محتاجه روايات تاريخيه، محتاجه سير ذاتيه، whatever الاحتياجات بتاعتها. كمان هيبقى مهم جدا ان احنا نهتم بالمعايير الاساسيه للنشر كمعايير للجوده، كواليتي للديزاين، كواليتي للطباعه، كواليتي في العمليات التحرير والمراجعه اللغويه للنص، كواليتي باختيار النص في الاساس. ان احنا ما بنعيدش اختراع العجله، يعني مش محتاجين نعيد اختراع العجله، محتاجين دايما يبقى فيه كولابوريشن بيننا وبين المنصات اللي حوالينا، بيننا وبين الموزعين اللي حوالينا من هنا او من هنا، بكل الستيك هولدرز اللي شغالين في الصناعه بتاعتنا. محتاجين دايما ان احنا ننوع المهام والتاسكات بتاعتنا. محتاجين نفهم ونبقى متاكدين ان العميل هو الملك، يعني the customer is king. ده بالنسبه للماركت. طب بالنسبه لاداره النشر the content is king، يعني المحتوى هو الملك في العمليات الداخليه، وما يطلع المحتوى ده للسوق هيبقى the king is customer او the customer is king. محتاجين نستغل وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي بشكل جيد، بشكل جذاب. النهارده عدد اليوزرز بيزيد جدا على الانستجرام، على تويتر، على فيسبوك، على تيك توك. اصبح في دور نشر النهارده بيبقى ليها وسائل ترفيه، وسائل اعلانيه على التيك توك، واستخدام جديد ما كانش موجود قبل كده، كان بمجرد فيديوهات للانترتينمنت، اصبح بيستخدم في وسائل دعائيه. محتاجين نعمل انتجريشن او تكامل مع المؤلفين والمجتمعات بتاعتهم، علشان تقدر كناشر تستفيد من الكوميونتي والمجتمعات الخاصه بالمؤلفين لاثراء المكتبه بتاعتك او اثراء المحتوى بتاعك، وتنميه التنميه المستدامه للدار، يعني للدار بتاعتك. في الاخر اخيرا يعني بفكر حضراتكم في التشات في لينكات وضعتها زميلتنا نيكي تيرون من معرض فرانكفورت. تلاقوا اللينك بتاع iRead كشوب اونلاين شوب، وفي اللينك بتاع ميكروتكست، وفي iRead اون فيسبوك اند انستجرام. في كمان القناه الخاصه باليوتيوب اللي عليها الحلقات السابقه من البرنامج، وهيبقى عليها كمان الحلقتين دول إن شاء الله قريبا. وأخيرا يعني السادة الحضور، نشكركم كثيرا على تشريفكم وحضوركم وتفاعلكم المميز أثناء هذه الجلسة والجلسات السابقة. كما أتقدم بخالص الشكر والتقدير لمعرض فرانكفورت للكتاب، ومعهد جوتا، ووزارة الخارجية الألمانية، واتحاد الناشرين المصريين، ومشروع أصوات عربية، وكل شركاء النجاح في هذا العمل، هذا البرنامج، على تنفيذ هذا البرنامج الرائع. وإن شاء الله بنأمل على أنه يتكرر في الأعوام القادمة بشكل أكثر فاعلية، يعني يكون يعني إن شاء الله نخطط بشكل يعني يكون الكورونا والبانديميك وظروف السفر والظروف الحالية يعني نكون تجاوزناها جميعا سالمين إن شاء الله، ويبقى في تطوير للبروجرام والتعاون ما بين وزارة الخارجية الألمانية ومعرض فرانكفورت ومعهد جوتا واتحاد الناشرين المصريين. شكرا جزيلا لحضراتكم، وإن شاء الله نلقاكم قريبا.